You're watching Reality Check. As the Congress India's main opposition party unravels, it's inevitable that others are going to step in to fill the space. Whether it's the Aam Aadmi Party or now an increasingly ambitious Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress. This has led to an escalating war of words between the Congress and the TMC, all the more after prominent Congress leaders have crossed over into the TMC from Goa to Assam, raising questions over an anti-BJP united front. Adding further complexity to this question of conflicts of interest is the role of poll strategist Prashant Kishore, whose outfit IPAC continues to work with the TMC, even as Kishore has been in talks with the Congress to play a wider role for that party ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. Today, ex-Goa Chief Minister Luisin Falero, who is the latest Congress leader to join the TMC, dropped a bombshell at his press conference in Goa, which was organized by the TMC, where when asked how he joined the TMC, he said he never actually met the TMC leadership, but that his first point of contact to be recruited was Prashant Kishore and IPAC.
It is a fact, and believe it or not, I never met. They are great leaders. They are not the great leaders of Trinamool, they are great national leaders, but I have not met them. I have met IPAC. I have met Mr. Prashant Kishore of IPAC. I met him just before I took the decision. We had an interaction. It was a very, very difficult decision for me to leave Congress party. But finally, I thought in the interest of Goa, interest of this country, and to defeat BJP, this is the only way for me to go forward. And even now, I'm looking forward for the help from the IPAC members. And they are not from Bengal. They are from different parts of the country. They are young people. They are all in the age group of 25, 30. And they are going everywhere, and we are getting very precious inputs from them.
Getting very good inputs from Prashant Kishore's IPAC, says Luisin Falero. Well, I spoke earlier to Mr. Falero to ask him a little bit more about how exactly did he enter the TMC and what was the role of Prashant Kishore. Just wanted to ask you, Mr. Falero, that before we get into the why of it and all of that, if you just tell us the backstory of how did you actually join the TMC? Did you approach them?
Well, I have seen Mamata Didi fighting, and she is a great fighter.
Right.
I have seen her for the last 3 elections. She is doing better and better and better and better. Our country needs a fighter.
No, but
she has shown the way.
So did you?
She has fought against the BJP and their divisive agenda.
Right.
And I thought that we will all, as a Congress family, we will approach her and ask her to help us in the state of...
But you just had a press conference, Mr. Falero, in Panjim, where you said that it was Prashant Kishore of IPAC who approached you.
Of course, he had approached me.
He did approach you. When was
yes,
this?
Of course. Just a few days back.
Okay. And what did he say to you?
No, you see, Goa is suffering.
Hmm.
My state is suffering.
Hmm.
Goa needs a change. Everybody says Goa needs a change. We have no opposition for the last 10 years. There is no credible alternative.
Sure.
Here is Didi to give a reliable and formidable alternative, because our agenda is clear. Our agenda is to defeat BJP both.
No, I understand that, Mr. Falero.
Yeah.
But this is an important detail that you shared, that IPAC and Prashant Kishore, was that your first point of contact with the TMC? As you said yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because these young people are doing survey in Goa.
Right.
And I've seen they had been doing a survey. I had and it helped me to take a decision.
No, the reason why I'm asking Mr. Falero is because this has led to a lot of bad blood between the Congress and the TMC. Because someone like Prashant Kishore is both supposed to be in talks with the Congress to help them with their campaign. On the other hand, he is, according to you, reaching out to people like you in the Congress to persuade you to join the TMC.
No, he didn't tell me to join the TMC.
Okay.
But we did an analysis because Goa is in trouble. Goa's people are angry against the BJP. Because as far as the administration, it has collapsed.
Right.
As far as the industries, it has collapsed. Goa's economy is on a total meltdown.
Right.
Mining has stopped. Unemployment has gone 40-45 years behind. And Goans are looking for an alternative.
Right.
And I thought in the Congress family, whether it is Trinamool Congress, YSR Congress or other Congress, Didi is the only force in spite of the pressure from the opposition, from the ruling party of BJP.
But Mr. Falero,
they tried to attack her, they attacked her, they used, abused, misused the government machineries, they tried to break her bones.
but Mr. Falero, the point is you're saying it is Didi you've joined and she is the one who's fighting, but this business that you said that the Congress is sinking in Goa, you wrote a letter to Sonia Gandhi where you resigned.
My letter is
You said that
My
you
letter
kept
is
raising,
confidential.
just a second Mr. Falero, you said that you raised these issues and there was no response. You said there was no attempt to try to course correct.
If you are expecting me to talk against Mrs. Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi, I will not, because I had long-term relationship. But today, when I am looking at my state, at my people,
Sure.
and the suffering of the people, I have to take a decision, and I have taken a decision.
One of the ways in which you said you failed as an opposition was in your letter that you said after the results of the Goa elections in 2017, the Congress was the single largest party and you were all keen and ready to stake claim with the help of some supporting parties, but you were stopped by the then Congress in charge, Digvijay Singh, from
It is a
approaching
fact.
the governor.
It is a fact that our party leadership in Goa, who represented the High Command, they did not allow me to hand over the letter to the governor, and they said, you are absolute majority, she has to call us, and she didn't call us, and next day we lost the government. And thereafter I was elected, not selected, as a leader of opposition with 13 votes. I refused to take the CLP leadership.
Why do you
Then
think-
thereafter they said they will form the government if I resign. So I resigned as a PCC president also. And that is the history.
Why did you?
I maintain my silence
Right.
and dignified silence for the last 4.5 years. But more than me, the people of
Why did
Goa were
you? Why did
disappointed
you?
because they
No,
voted
but Mr.
Congress. They
Falero,
were expecting
why do you
Congress to
think?
form a government?
Why do you think? If what you are saying is true, why do you think you was? Why did Mr. Digvijay Singh stop you from staking claim?
I don't know. You should ask him.
You
I
never.
pleaded. I said, and that is what
You never
Supreme
had a
Court
chance?
Also said that the Congress party in Goa should have given the letter to the governor. But that is a history. I'm not looking at behind. I am looking ahead, and I'm sure with this movement which we are starting,
Yes.
that will be victorious, and the people of Goa are looking forward, especially the younger generation today who are feeling very, very frustrated because there are no hopes of employment.
Well, let's see how it plays out, Mr. Falero. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Louisine Falero there. Let me go across now to our other newsmaker. Derek O'Brien joins me. He's the leader of the Trinamool party in the Rajya Sabha, member of parliament, also been there in Goa, spearheading the TMC's expansion. Thank you, Derek. O'Brien. Derek O'Brien, I wanted to ask you that, as I mentioned, it's inevitable that as one party, as a leading opposition party, in this case the Congress, starts to decline, others will rush in to fill the vacuum. The Trinamool now is expanding in the northeast, it's expanding in Goa. But is that creating ruptures of opposition unity? Because if we've seen the kind of statements that the Congress and the TMC have made against each other, this is fairly unprecedented. Your leaders have said that the Congress is acting as an agent of the BJP. The Congress has leveled the same allegation against you.
You know, too many people are obsessed with this opposition unity. Opposition parties are doing what they have to do. There are bigger issues, political issues no one talks about. What about the BJP disunity?
No.
Mr. Jain, what about the BJP shuffling its chief ministers as if they are playing a game of rummy?
Okay,
they are shuffling, you know,
I'll
you're
come
telling
to that.
us about, I just saw your interview also about what Congress did. Congress will look after its own house. Trinamool will look after its own house.
No, 1 second. Derek O'Brien, with all respect, when you say that
Mr. Jain,
we make too much of opposition unity, let me finish. It's Mamta Banerjee herself who's been spearheading opposition unity. She's called opposition leaders together, including the Congress. She's written to, opposition leaders to come together. So this is not, this is not a media creation. Your own leaders is pushing this. But equally, when you take leaders from the Congress, doesn't that then hurt the cause of opposition unity?
Mr. Jain, you're normally very solid on your research. Please show me one letter or one appeal by Ms. Mamta Banerjee, chairperson and parliamentary chairperson also of the Trinamool Congress,
yes,
where she has written a letter to opposition leaders asking them to assemble for a meeting or a virtual meeting or any other meeting.
No, not assemble per se, but that they should come together.
Of course, Mamta Banerjee is the only Mamta Banerjee has walked the talk. Amit Shah and Modi have put everything beyond that Bengal election, and then she hit it out of the park. We are close to 3/4 majority in Bengal. They threw everything at us. So today, in one sentence, Mr. Jain, let me just give you the one sentence.
Yeah.
Not because the Trinamool Rajya Sabha MP is saying it.
Okay.
Not because the Trinamool worker is saying it. The country has more or less come around to this one fact that the most credible street fighter with a track record of defeating the BJP three times in the last 7 years is Mamta
Banerjee. Okay. Let me ask now. Allow me to ask a question. So I'm saying if Mamta Banerjee is encouraging the cause or promoting the cause of opposition unity, how is it opposition unity when the Trinamool leaders like Abhishek Banerjee say that the Congress is doing armchair politics, that the Congress is acting as an agent of the BJP?
What did Mr. Abhishek Banerjee say yesterday? He said, one, the problem of the G23 is a problem which the Congress have to resolve. What did Abhishek Banerjee say? He said that the Trinamool is on the ground. They are taking up the issues. Factual, we are the party who are beating the BJP. And whenever Congress gets to fight the BJP, they lose. Now, what is that? Is that our problem? On this issue, you mentioned about this. You used this word in your earlier part of your program, saying poaching. You see, you don't go poaching. If a person from a political party believes in the track record, the credibility, the good governance, and the fighting spirit of Mamta Banerjee, and approaches the Trinamool Congress saying, we want to work with you to remove the Modi government, we talk.
Okay.
We're not an NGO, we're a political party.
No, that's different. That's different. But look at what has happened with Luisine Falero, because he's saying that nobody from the Trinamool, he said, I didn't even know anyone from the Trinamool. Prashant Kishore, whose IPAC is working with you, who's also, by the way, been in talks with the Congress to help them with their political campaign. Prashant Kishore approached him and said, made a case to join the Trinamool.
Mr. Jain, We haven't done any secret deal with IPAC. IPAC is a professional agency. Normally, political parties would hire IPAC for event promotion. I call every event like they would hire for elections. Trinamool is the first political party which has taken the forward-looking step of hiring IPAC for 5 years. It's public knowledge in the public domain. Our relationship with IPAC is in the public domain. Now,
but isn't
never
there a
ask
conflict
a
of
journalist,
interest? If you have
that you'll have to ask. I'm not the spokesperson for IPAC, nor am I Mr. Prashant Kishore spokesperson.
No.
I'm telling you on behalf of Trinamool.
From
Now,
an
hear me out.
opposition, as an opposition party, is that a conflict
is
of
a
interest that you
question
have someone who's
we have no
helping
conflict of
recruit
interest.
Congress people for you and
Right.
work and supposedly in talks with the Congress?
It's IPAC is a professional political strategy organization.
Okay.
They have signed a contract with Trinamool for 5 years.
Okay.
They are absolutely professional. They're doing a professional job with us. Now, we're not going to discuss our political strategy on national television, and all these questions you have, that is a personal to do with Mr. Kishore and the Congress party.
Okay.
That you can call him on your program and ask. I'm here to tell you, IPAC is on board for 5 years.
Okay.
We have not hired IPAC. Let me just make this one point. We have not hired IPAC merely to fight elections. 5-year period means building and inputting Trinamool Congress along with the political base which we have.
But let's come back then as we wrap on my fundamental premise that do you now see yourself? Are you now saying, Derek O'Brien, that increasingly the Trinamool Congress, which has been fighting and the BJP in West Bengal, largely you've been localized in West Bengal, you're saying, are you now seeing a wider national role for the Trinamool Congress, which is the consequence of the Congress party unable to fight the BJP? Are you now going to try to position yourself as the main pole of the anti-BJP front?
That is all your theory. As a journalist, you are free to analyze it in whichever way you want.
No, I'm asking you.
It's nothing so complicated. We have identified 2 states. The states are Goa and Tripura. The government there is run by the BJP. We want to get after the BJP. We want to defeat the BJP in Tripura and Goa.
Right.
And number 2,
Okay.
we think we have the best chance to do it because of our leaders' credibility and our good governance record. And we are a federal party without a high command. BJP has a high command of Modi Shah. Everyone has high. We don't have high command. And let me tell you, to fight these elections, I'm being very practical, you need resources. So when you go into the 2 smaller states between Goa, I mean, on a lighter note, you could say fish and football connect Bengal and Goa. But on a more serious note, Tripura and Goa are our 2 focus areas.
Okay.
At this stage, we are focusing on Tripura and Goa, and you need to understand this.
Yes.
Need to understand this. People approach the Trinamool Congress. Now, if those people are from quote-unquote like-minded parties,
Sure.
those like-minded parties have to keep their troops in order.
Okay.
We are not going on some group WhatsApp saying, hello, join Trinamool. No, people are getting to us and people are getting to us.
Okay. Fair enough.
And also people, that's the basic.
Okay, that's the basic
thing. So
premise.
it's not about opposition disunity.
All right.
It's about strengthening parties to defeat the BJP.
Okay, all right. Okay, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much indeed, Derek O'Brien, for joining us. Thanks very much indeed.
Anytime.
Okay, let me move on now to another important political voice, and that is Naresh Gujral, Rajya Sabha MP of the Akali Dal, has always been outspoken. Thank you, Mr. Gujral, for being here and for patiently listening in. Let me just ask you, Mr. Gujral, about this wider question of what is happening to India's leading opposition party. Now, I know that you are politically, on the other side of the aisle in Punjab, but when you look at, and you've been critical of Amrinder Singh and his government, but when you look at what has happened to Amrinder Singh and the way this entire business was handled, what is that telling you about the state of the Congress?
Well, you asked me 2 or 3 questions. The first question, the state of the Congress party. Well, actually, it's become a private limited company. And I think it's high time that they go in for an IPO. Because like many of the startups who have gone in for IPO, they've become unicorns overnight. I think if Congress party was to become a larger party, an open party, a lot of talent of experienced leaders who left the party,
Right.
who have formed their own parties, would probably come back. But today the state of the Congress party is that even those who are inside are feeling suffocated. Look at this group of 23. They're all senior experienced leaders. And I know for a fact that they're not just 23 people. Anybody that you speak to in the Congress party, and I meet them all in the Central Hall, everybody feels suffocated and they want some kind of release. So if they go on like this, there'll be history very soon.
But you know,
as far as Amrinder Singh is
Amrinder Singh, yes. Sorry, go ahead. Yes.
As far as Amrinder Singh is concerned, it's a shame. He's an experienced leader. Single-handedly, he won Punjab for them. They got close to 80 seats. Now, it's a fact that there was total non-performance for the last 4.5 years. It is also a fact that they did nothing for the Dalits and the poor, and now suddenly, as a symbol, they put a Dalit chief minister there. But the fact remains, he should have been treated in a dignified manner. He should not have been humiliated the way he's been humiliated. He's a senior national leader. And it's a shame to treat your own leaders like this.
Okay. So you're making an interesting point, because though you are as I said, you know, the Akalis, you're against or you've been opposed to the Congress government in Punjab, and as you said, according to you, they've done nothing for all these years. You're saying the manner in which Amrinder Singh was turfed out, that was poorly done. Even though there could have been a case for replacing him, because there was a lot of anti-incumbency.
Well, there's a dignified way of doing things. In fact, at one stage, he had put in his papers, and he was persuaded by Mrs. Sonia Gandhi to stay on.
Right.
And then to be booted out the way he was. It's not done in politics, and especially to senior leaders. And I'm sure as a result, they'll pay a heavy price for this.
Okay, a heavy price, you mean in the polls?
Absolutely.
Okay, but tell me your wider concern when you look at the fact that increasingly you have a country where there is no real now serious national opposition party. As you said, the Congress has become this sort of private concern or private limited or whatever. What does that portend for us as a democracy?
Look, for a healthy democracy, we need a vibrant opposition. And it is a fact that Congress is a very important party. They have their offices all over the country. They still get a large vote share. But unfortunately, they have zero leadership. And as a result, it's dwindling. And also as a result of that, BJP is becoming stronger. So I do feel that we need a strong party at the center. We also need very strong regional parties, which is very important. Regional parties which are not controlled by remote control from the center.
Right.
And coming back to my state of Punjab, we are suffering today because of the remote control in Delhi. And I would say that also for the Aam Aadmi Party, which has ambitions in Punjab.
Right.
But if the remote control is going to be in Delhi, then it's not going to be healthy for Punjab.
What's your, if the Congress continues as it is, I mean, with the absence of a strong challenge to the BJP at the center, you think that even in the next, Lok Sabha elections 2024, it's going to be the same story?
I think Congress will implode much before that. The way they are going, they will implode after the UP elections. And I'm sure there will be a huge revolt and a new party will be formed. And at that stage, I expect a lot of Congress leaders who had left the party and who made their own outfits, they will probably come back and make a new, vibrant, healthy party.
I see. And that you think could take on the BJP in 2024?
Absolutely. But for that, we have to wait for the 22 election.
Okay.
This will happen post-UP when Congress will be in the single digits.
Okay. Well, you seem to be, though you're not a congressman, you seem to have a fairly confident sense of how things are going to play out in the Congress. But thank you very much indeed, Mr. Gujral, for joining us, as candid as ever. Thanks very much indeed. All right, we'll have to leave it there on Reality Check. That's all the time we have.